Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1565 of our daily content grind. So if you happen to click on this video because it just happened to be about the hot new toy news of the week, then welcome, hi. We're typically a Transformer channel here. I talk about the transforming robots. But today, we have a little bit more of an important topic to discuss. Sometimes toy news is so big that I have to discuss it. Me, as a toy collecting nerd, am obligated to use my YouTube channel to get my opinion out there for people who barely care about it. So we're going to talk about it today because I have grown up with the Ninja Turtles. I have always had Ninja Turtles in my toy bin, in my collector shelves to this day. So me, I'm a Ninja Turtle kid. I genuinely am. My favorite's Michelangelo. I know, basic choice, but hey, Last Ronin helped me out in that department, didn't it? So, this one we have to discuss, and it's a weird topic to discuss on Christmas Eve of all times. But it has been revealed that Playmates Toys will no longer be producing Ninja Turtle figures as of 2027. Which is crazy. It was like, I just know Playmates as the Ninja Turtle company. You know, like, I don't even remember what they have done other than Ninja Turtles lately that like, thinking back, like, what is their other big brand? What other big brand did Playmates do? And I can't come up with anything. It's just, they are the Ninja Turtle company. You know, this hits me the same way as when we found out that Bandai of America was no longer producing Power Ranger toys. I'm like, but it's Bandai in Japan that makes them. How does Bandai of America not make them? How does that even work? We've learned with Hasbro, it kind of doesn't. So this is a little bit concerning. This is just a wee bit worrying. Let me go ahead and show you the actual press release. A little bit small to read on your screen, most likely, especially if you're on a phone. This is floating around all over the internet. So if you want to read the whole thing, that is up to you. Really, we'll go ahead and fill you in here. So, Persona, the existing license agreement entered into between Viacom Media Networks, the licensor at Playmates International Company Limited, a wholly solely granted the rights to design, manufacture, distribute, and sell the product of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Negotiations between the parties regarding the renewal of the license agreement have been ongoing since October 2025, but PICL, which is Playmates, has recently been formally notified by the licensee that the license agreement will not be renewed upon expiry on 31st December 2026. As a result, the rights of Playmates to sell the licensed products shall cease on 31st December 2026, while the rights to dispose its inventories of the licensed product will cease 90 days thereafter pursuant to the license agreement. So, TLDR, they can make more Ninja Turtle toys for a year, and then they have 3 months to dispose of everything that is left over. That's weird. Also, if you want to know how bad this is for Playmates, according to this document, like in December, in 2024 alone, Ninja Turtles was responsible for 47% of their revenue. And for the first half of this year, they were responsible for 36% of their revenue. So somewhere between like 1/2 and 1/3 of their total revenue is in Ninja Turtle toys. That is an enormous loss for any company. Like, your company next in a year is suddenly worth half what it is now. You're in trouble. And just flat out just say, you're in trouble. This just has wider arcing concerns though, but like, even thinking about it now, it's very surreal. Like, what do you mean Ninja Turtles aren't going to be made by Playmates? Like, I can't get that thought out of my head. Like, my brain refuses to accept the reality of that, you know, the same way that, like, if someone else was producing Transformers besides Hasbro full time, which literally can't happen because Hasbro owns the brand, but in a weird world where that might have happened someday, like if Mattel was suddenly the main producer for Transformers, I would not know what to do with that information. I would not know what to do with that. And this falls under the same regard, you know, because like this is a deep part of my childhood here, and suddenly we are mucking with it. Now, there were some interesting comments from a Twitter user, one named Bobby Mayberry, at xchronos. I would not normally recommend Twitter because it is a hellscape, but sometimes we have to go there to get actual information. So this is secondhand stuff, not confirmed, but I'm going to throw it in just because it makes for fascinating discussion. Playmates had the Master Toy license for forever. What I've heard is that when Skydance bought Paramount, they really didn't like that Playmates also had veto power on the media. Playmates backed Rise and Mutant Mayhem for the toys. And that makes all the sense in the world. When 43% of your when almost half of your revenue, 47%, when almost half of your revenue was from this one brand, obviously you're going to have a huge investment in said brand still succeeding. So yeah, like I'm not faulting them for having some kind of say over the media rather than just being told what toys to make. Skydance, from what I heard, not confirmed, bought out Playmates license for $300 million. That was a very, very big chunk of change for one toy line. It's why Playmates lost it. Playmates was the one sub-licensing to all other toy companies, some of which complained to Skydance. Super 7 probably. Don't know exactly who complained, but I will show you a list later. There's a lot of options. Skydance didn't want too many rights meddlers. Getting rid of Playmates supposedly just knocks all veto and permission power back to just Kevin Eastman. Top two, theoretically, in running for TMNT are Lannard and Jakks Pacific. McFarlane might make a play. McFarlane is trying to find licenses desperately since they lost a few of their more important ones, so that actually doesn't surprise me in the least. But yeah, the takeaway from that here is that, yeah, I can see where a new owner would see that, like, another company has control over this franchise and have an issue with that, because it is unusual for the toy company to have, control over somebody else's property, but when they've been so, like, linked over the years, I think that's fair. I don't think that's surprising, really. But a new owner is going to take that in a different way. Now, as far as like successors, like I wouldn't mind Jakks Pacific. I've had their Mario toys. The Mario toys are pretty much what I would expect the new Ninja Turtle toys to be, like small, dense, affordable figures with decent levels of articulation and maybe like one or two good accessories. That'd be along the lines. So I've seen from like collecting their Sonic toys, the movie toys especially, they can produce really, really nice action figures with really good posability, really solid joints, etc. They can do really good work. So in that regard, I'm not really terribly concerned if Jakks Pacific gets a hold of it. I think that's a good home for them. I don't want it to be McFarlane. McFarlane, I feel like, would not expand the brand. I feel like they would just do what they did with DC and just hammer out iterations of the four turtles, and that's pretty much it. And they would do them at that stupid 7-inch size. No, I don't want that. So, yeah, hopefully, Jakks Pacific is where it lands. It makes sense for it to land there. One place it's not going to land is Hasbro. They still don't know what to do with the last toy brand someone bought out from under them. Hello, Power Rangers. You're going to have to shuttle a lot of responsibility for Playmates soon. But Jakks Pacific is another good brand because they are willing to play ball with other toy companies. And that's a really important thing here, because a lot of the more popular Ninja Turtle stuff has been because of licensing and has been because they have kind of spread it around, not only to other creators, but to bring other franchises into Ninja Turtles. Currently, they are doing MonsterVerse Ninja Turtle toys. They're also doing they've worked with Transformers to do the party, the Party Wallop. We have seen Stranger Things crossovers. We've seen Cobra Kai crossovers. We've seen most everything you can imagine has been crossed over with Ninja Turtles at this point. And in one hand, you're trying to keep it relevant, but also when it comes to Ninja Turtles, this is built into their DNA. Even back to the original toy line, long before any of the others got the idea to turn their toys into Fortnite, Ninja Turtles was borrowing other brands and creating some really weird mashups with it. You could get a cast of Ninja Turtles that look like Star Trek characters, or the classic Universal monsters. You could have those. So it's part of the origin of the toy line. It's part of its history. I feel like it's very, very important to maintain that going forward. Especially when a lot of your partners have been doing it so well. Things like Super 7 here, which we don't know if they're the ones who had complaints over the control that Playmates had, but I wouldn't be surprised, as they have had a lot of successful product with the Ninja Turtle brand, and now we see that they're just in the midst of moving into the 2002 Ninja Turtle cartoon, and now this might be cowed out from under them. Keep in mind, because this is a master license that was being sub-licensed out to all these other companies, the transition of that license means all of those are under now the exact same null and void, meaning Super 7, NECA, anyone else you could name. They all have 1 year to actually sell their product and then 3 months to dump it off and dispose of it. That's a lot of companies. It's sad for me because it might mean the end of some of my favorite stuff. You know, I was collecting the Playmates versions of, the Super 7 Turtles. And I really, really liked those. Like big versions of the original toys? Yes, that's actually something I've wanted a long time. The fact that that toy line has not done particularly well, judging by the insane number that end up on clearance, saddens me because I think it's a great idea. But this might be the end of it. And it might be the end of a lot of these toy lines. So here's a list from Entertainment Earth, which you can visit the link in my description to save 10% on in-stock orders and help out the channel while you do it. That's good shilling, Tyler. So, let's see here. If I go through this list, just in case you cannot see it, we have toys from, get ready, NECA, Funko, BioWorld, McFarlane Toys, Jada Toys, Beast Kingdom, Boss Fight Studios, Bottleneck Gallery, Culture Fly, Figpin, Handmade by Robots, Hasbro, Iron Studios, Kid Robot, Loungefly, Mattel, Mezco Toys, Mighty Jax, Mondo, Monogram, Playmates, of course, Super 7, Tomy, Mochi, Trick or Treat Studios, and U2's. And I don't even think I saw Funko in there. Oh yeah, Funko's at the top. Never mind. I just read through so many, I forgot Funko was in there. That's a lot. That's so many companies that are now out a major part of their product. Man, Funko didn't get enough bad news. Here's another little bit, because Turtles have always been reliable for them, too. It's crazy how many toy companies are going to be affected by this one move. Unfortunate. Now, a lot of these companies are going to be scrambling once a new license holder is actually signed to actually get something signed with them so that they can continue. Anything they've currently released will no longer be viable, but they'd be able to reissue it under the new license, and as well as continue any in-progress things that are further down the pipe. So, for instance, like, if they've got a sculpt halfway done of like a super shredder for a line or whatever, they could move that work on to the new owner as long as they haven't released it yet. So you'd have to destroy whatever current product there is and then make new product to replace it once the new license is picked up. It's going to be weird for a lot of these companies. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be really damaging for a lot of them. So there's that to keep in mind too. I think what makes me sad about this the most is that without Playmates, the reissues get completely cut off. I've gotten a huge kick about going to the toy section and finding toys I grew up with just there, sitting on a shelf ready to buy again. I can't tell you how many times I've floated past the Mutant module at Target going like, I don't know where I would put it, but I want it. I kind of want it. Hasn't made it into my cart yet. But that said, even if someone else buys the license, that's all they're doing, is they're just buying the license. The designs and the original molds done by Playmates would be gone. So if you were waiting for any kind of reissue to happen after all these others that they've been doing, chances are it might not actually come out anymore. Unless a company buys the entirety of the Ninja Turtle franchise and gets the molds too, they would have to literally buy Playmates in order to gain ownership of the Ninja Turtle molds, or the molds themselves would have to be sold to the new toy company. It would be some crazy situation like that, but that's literally the only way we would get those, and that's really weird and unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for those who are waiting for some reissues that fill gaps. Do you know how rare it is to actually find an intact Android body Krang? This one isn't even intact. It's missing the antenna, and that literally changes the price by 50%. This thing is $300 intact, $150 without that antenna. It's crazy. Had this toy as a kid. Loved this toy as a kid. Lost it at a babysitter's house. Moved away before we could go back and get it. I miss this toy. I want this toy back in my life so bad. And I really, really wanted a reissue. If all these other things were getting reissued, why not this? But that said, there is reason to criticize Playmates as well. We're going to be fair about this. Some of their stuff has not been all that great. Some has not been all that great. So maybe some fresh eyes and some fresh designers are what the Ninja Turtle franchise needs. So, for instance, things like the Technodrome, where it wasn't a reissue. It was a new version that was smaller, cheaper produced, using soft plastic shells instead of the firm ones of the original. I felt it was a massive disappointment because it's the Technodrome. It's one of the most popular playset toys ever made. You know, if you did a modern reissue, it didn't matter how expensive it was to produce like a full-size, authentic, quality version. People would have paid it. You know, if you told me I could have gotten a complete one for like, this went for like 80, 90 on Amazon. If you told me that this was going to be like 130, 140, but it's going to be full-size and hard plastic shells, I'd have been in. I'd have done it in a heartbeat. Yeah, weird decisions like that. Also, Playmates was never the best at actually like modernizing their turtle lines. If they did like collectors lines like their original classics Ninja Turtles, they would basically forget to keep doing them. They do the 4 turtles, maybe you get Rocksteady and Bebop, and that's it. You know, you wouldn't get Shredder, you wouldn't get April, you wouldn't get Casey. They just kind of stop. You know, and when it comes to modern toys like this, you know, they did the rebooted, like the remastered Turtle toys individually once upon a time. And for whatever reason, it's the original toys, the original accessories with new articulation, but they had that weird texture to their skin. So that was off-putting. I don't know why they did that. Now the 6-pack you're looking at, which is the Target exclusive that's out right now, you can get those toys exactly the way that they should have come out, which is all the good articulation, the painted weapons, the original look of the original toys, but highly articulated. But even then, they're weird because they're missing some, what I would call vital articulation, bicep swivels, proper thigh swivel, no ankle tilt. In figures that need to do ninjutsu poses, no ankle tilt. Also, the new Shredder and Splinter molds that came with this thing are really weird. They're super weird. So there's not, you know, so there are like benefits to the fact that it's switching over. You're going to get new designers, new engineers, new sculptors. So you might get something fresh out of the Turtle franchise if you've been waiting for that. They've been pretty good at keeping their design and aesthetic modernized for kids today, but I don't think they've done as good of a job as keeping up with what kids would demand in today's action figures. So there is room for growth here, especially if you're a collector and you're tired of going to, you know, 12 different companies to get your collector's turtles. A Jakks Pacific might be able to solve everything in-house. You know, you just have one aisle that has the new cartoon or movie stuff and the classic stuff all together. Wouldn't it be nice? It'd be nice. And then you just kind of wonder what happens to Playmates now. So I went to their website to look at what big brands they were promoting. I totally forgot they were doing the Monsterverse toys. Those are not too great, by the way. Those are not too great, by the way. They got Winx and Ladybug. Winx is coming back now, and Ladybug's been popular for a hot minute. I don't know what Team Mechbot's Animal Rescue is. And the Mighty Morphin line seems to be middling right now, if I'm going to be generous. So if you're Playmates, I mean, you're scrambling right now. I really don't know what you do, but you are in massive amount of trouble. Still, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to consider. There's going to be a lot of disappointed collectors, a lot of childhoods hurt, and a lot of companies who are going to be really, really upset with how things are going down. But that's the weird twists and turns of the toy industry. You never know when something like this is going to happen. So we will roll with it. I'm curious to see where it goes. This is probably the only time we're going to talk about it on the channel. Like I said, we're normally Transformers around here, and we'll get back to Transformers soon enough. But for now, thank you for letting me indulge in another of my childhood fascinations, and thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.